If you and I are anything alike, then there's been moments in your life of inaction. Times when you took a break, maybe from a daily routine, maybe from a project, only to later struggle with starting again. Falling into the mindset of inaction and avoidance is something I believe happens to everybody. Robert Eiler is someone who has faced inaction head on. After a decade long addiction to stimulants, Robert has made a name for himself as a professional yoga instructor and owner of health and wellness enterprise, Alchemy SD. Of the many things he teaches, what has stuck with me since interviewing him is the importance of being honest with ourselves about the decisions we make.
Even what I'm eating, like, is my future self gonna feel good or grateful that I just ate this or consumed this or watched this or did this or that? That's a good way to kind of check and audit yourself. And on the flip side, like, yeah, like eat those hot Cheetos, like have that extra piece of cake. And when you do it, like do it with intention. I think
Mm.
so many people do it and then they shame themselves and they have this negative self-talk. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done this. And then it just perpetuates and you do it more and more because you have this negative kind of connotation or self-worth about yourself. Like own it and then move on. That was like with my addiction. Like I was like, okay, this is what I did. Now let me move forward. Like I relapsed like more than 50 times and I kept relapsing because I kept getting down on myself versus like, okay, this happened. Let me move forward.
To share my own struggles of inaction, I've been learning meditation practices since high school, yet that practice has turned from being something I aspire to do daily to being a practice only when I remember to do so. And that's okay. Inaction isn't something to be ashamed of, it's something to be aware of.
Honestly, when I started practicing a lot of yoga and meditation, I really wasn't aware of much around me other than, what impacted me. I thought, the drugs, the stimulants were just having fun. I didn't think it was a bigger problem until I started to really get still and go inside and wonder why I'm so, antsy or can't sit still or can't be with my thoughts. And then it just brought me down this journey. But I think being able to sit in stillness
Mhm.
um, is difficult. It's one of the hardest things we can do. But I think that's what led me to understand that like this change is needed and that it's possible.
Though his resolve wasn't bulletproof, same as most of us, Robert was able to begin breaking his dependence on stimulants. Taking time to pause and sit with ourselves is both one of the hardest and most freeing things we can do. Stillness shows us front and center the things that we've been avoiding. Part of the driving inspiration for this project has been my own struggles with inaction. I've interviewed professional speakers and life coaches, authors, and fitness professionals sharing their experiences of both finding stillness and the drive to move forward. Aaron Galoob made history as the first legally blind athlete to play in a Division I game before signing with the NFL as a free agent. After that, he used his story to propel his career as a professional speaker. Like Robert, Aaron places an emphasis on the importance of being honest with yourself.
One thing that I cannot stand is when someone says I don't have time or I can't right now. It's like, that's okay, cool. Well, all that's saying is it's not a priority. It's not that you don't have time. It's not a priority. There's an emergency happening and your kid needs something or your spouse needs something or whatever. Like you're going to make time. And
Right.
I get that that's a different example, but you don't have time is not an excuse. That is not, I do not agree with that statement. It's you don't prioritize it at the moment, and that's fine, but we need to be more honest with ourselves to realize that.
Though it feels easy to say things such as we don't have the time, it's important to remind ourselves that we have the time for whatever we choose to have time for. This is an uncomfortable thing to acknowledge. Inaction is something that affects all of us. From putting off a phone call to saying we'll start a new routine tomorrow, everyone struggles with inaction at some point. At the end of the day, the key to overcoming it is to be honest with yourself. During the writing of this script, I had the chance to conduct another interview. Jerry Billups works within the juvenile court system, finding alternatives to detention for juveniles whose offenses don't warrant detention. Jerry and I shared a candid conversation. There's something he said that I think needs to be heard in his own words.
Number one, I hope people realize that your life has a purpose. And I hope that people are able to realize that they're here living for a reason. But I hope that people realize that the things that you go through in life are helping you develop into who you need to be to accomplish what you need to accomplish while we're here on this earth.
Though I try each day to address my inaction, Time still slips through my fingers as it does for all of us. However, Jerry gave me an important reminder. Regardless of how inaction might take hold of us, we are meant to be here. Being in a state of inaction doesn't detract from that reality. Inaction can step in our way at times we least expect it and make us feel lesser. What's important to remind yourself is that inaction is not forever. You're not failing by admitting your shortcomings. You're moving towards progress. The way through inaction is being aware and honest about it, and using that acknowledgement to hold ourselves accountable to become in action. Thank you for watching the Inaction Deep Dive.